In 1997, the Australian band Regurgitator released their second album, Unit. This album was an absolutely huge change for the band, who, despite it only being their second album, were relatively established in Australia, having just wrapped up their 11th national tour. They were previously a kind of grungy, almost punk act, with hit songs off their first album, Two-Plang, like I Sucked a Lot of Cock to Get Where I Am, FSO, which of course stands for Fuck Shit Off, and Ronald's Lobotomy. And Regurgitator had already begun to experiment with things like drum machines and synthesizers on this first album, like on the song G7 Dick Electric Boogie. But this follow-up album really marked a shift in the band's general direction that nobody predicted. Unit opens with the vocoder and synth-driven song I Like Your Old Stuff Better Than Your New Stuff. This is the album immediately telling you to expect the unexpected, and that Regurgitator don't really care what you think about it. I like your old stuff better than your new stuff. Despite that though, the album Unit actually became Regurgitator's biggest critical and commercial success, with songs like Exclamation Point, the song formerly known as Polyester Girl, and I Will Lick Your Asshole becoming breakout hits across Australia. This band are fucked. This album is Regurgitator blending guitar-driven alternative rock with synthesizers and vocoders and drum machines way before it became the norm in like the mid-2000s into like the early 2010s. This shit predates Unknown Mortal Orchestra, it predates Tame Impala, it predates King Gizzard, it predates all these other similar acts that have become household names in the time since, and it did it all like a decade before them. It was incredibly innovative both to and for alternative music at the time, and is still heralded today as an absolute masterpiece by fans of the band and Australian music critics. Unit stands today as still the most defining work of Regurgitator's career, and despite each and every album that followed being incredible in their own right, the group never quite recaptured the same public appeal that Unit did in its home nation. It also never really received much acclaim overseas outside of Australia, and today in 2026 I live in a country where I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person who's ever heard of them. But speaking domestically, this is an example of an artist drastically changing what they do, making a huge pivot, and it playing out really, really well for them. For a time. But I have noticed a pattern, not just in music, but in all forms of art, where an artist gets to change their style once, and that seals their fate. They very, very often go on to receive diminishing returns on whatever they release next, no matter the quality of it. There are two main schools of this thought that I've come up with. The first one is where the artist sticks with the initial sort of change they made. It was the thing that got them popularized, it's the thing that got them noticed, so they stick with that idea, they don't really evolve from it, and then they're often criticized for it going stale. The second is where the artist will try and change again, maybe even multiple times, but will be heavily criticized for it for a variety of reasons. Either people just want the old thing, or they expect the next change to be as revolutionary and mind-blowing as the first one, which just isn't possible when you're expecting it. Now, I'm going to provide a range of examples about this because it's easier to sort of show you it and point at it and go, look, there it is, this is it happening now, rather than just kind of waffling about it theoretically. But first I want to point something out. Yes, there are exceptions to this. King Gizzard are known for and beloved in large part because of how eclectic they are as artists, constantly evolving and changing. No two albums really sound the same. Steven Soderbergh has done fucking heaps, from Ocean's 11 to Erin Brockovich to Magic fucking Mike. Martin Scorsese released Hugo, and then 2 years later released the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Both are great, but these two fucking films could not be more different from each other if they tried. But this pattern happens so often, and I think is so interesting and reflects a lot about how an audience reacts to art, that I think it's cool to talk about it. So strap in, strap on, get ready.
Cars are already done. They're already a relic, and we just don't know it.
Adam McKay is a fucking fascinating filmmaker to me. His first film was Anchorman, which is just an absolutely fucking bona fide classic. From there he made Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, The Other Guys, Anchorman 2, Get Hard. He was essentially just the Will Ferrell guy. But he actually, this is a fun fact, he also worked with Paul Rudd on a draft script for Ant-Man, which I can only assume was titled Antaman. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. But then in 2015, he released a little movie, I don't know, maybe you've heard of it, called The Big Short. And it stars Steve Carell, but it's like, not really that funny. It's just like The American Office. Oh, for fuck's sake. The Big Short is a fantastic fucking movie, but in a very different way to Anchorman or Step Brothers. The film follows a bunch of money dudes who predicted the financial crash of 2008 and how bankers packaged up something called CDOs, which are kind of a bunch of shit stocks bundled into a big stock, and the houses, it's all mortgage bonds and stuff like that. I don't think it's stocks, it's like mortgage bonds, and there's the shit. So it's meant to be like a collection of mortgages, and then, but they were putting like a bunch of really shit ones that were going to default together, but then going like, with these powers combined, they're good, and they were like selling them to people pretending they were good. I don't really remember. The film makes the whole thing feel completely uncomplicated and completely digestible in ways that are a little bit on the nose, but it makes it really easy to understand, and I do understand it, I just can't recount it. I'm smart in other ways. But it's a really clever look into how Wall Street and the wider economy of the United States is full of money-hungry assholes who'll exploit anyone for $1, even the future of their nation itself. It's the scariest movie ever made, and it is vastly, vastly different in like every conceivable way from...
Did you touch my drum set?
It did great at the box office, it was reviewed well, and Adam McKay and co-writer Charles Randolph took home an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. 3 years later, Adam McKay followed this up with Vice. Vice is a Christian Bale-led biopic on former vice president and the horrible gremlin worm cunt Dick Cheney. It's another enthralling look at the seediness of America behind closed doors and is extremely similar in tone to The Big Short, at least when compared to McKay's previous body of work. And while I personally love it, critic and audience reception was a little bit more mixed. Some loved it, some thought it was okay, some really didn't like it. A very, very varying response. It did, however, get nominated at the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, I'm pretty sure, and it got a 1 for makeup and hairstyling, which, yeah, that's fucking Batman. You even believe it? Then 3 years later, he followed Vice up with a little film called Don't Look Up. And oh boy, here's where this shit gets juicy and hot and spicy. Domino's hot and spicy. I did that in the last video. Don't Look Up is a film devised as an allegory for climate change, which by the time it came out in late 2021, read almost more like a satire of how America handled the COVID-19 epidemic. Don't Look Up is very controversial. There's people who dislike it because it's woke, there's people who support the message but think it's cringy and poorly written, there's people who love it because of its on-point satire, people think it's smug, it's preachy, its message is empty, its message is too clear, oh my god, make up your minds. Don't Look Up may be one of the most divisive films of the past 10 years. But I remember a big piece of discourse about this movie was people saying that they are fucking sick of Adam McKay, a filmmaker who changed his style and subject matters completely, who was heralded after the first film of his new era being considered a director to keep an eye on. Just how high can he soar? But each film since has seen diminishing returns critically, and I'd love to be able to point at like box office numbers and show commercially. I wouldn't love that, I don't want anyone to fucking fail, but as just evidence for this, I'd like to be able to show that. But Don't Look Up went straight to Netflix, so what do you want me to tell you? Was The Big Short viewed unfairly positively because of the kind of shock of a director who'd come from doing like Judd Apatow style comedies, doing this biographical exploration of a recent recession? It's possible, and it might seem like the answer if The Big Short didn't hold up today as an absolute fucking steaming banger of a film. But it does. I watched it like 2 weeks ago as research for this video, and I loved it. But this begs the question, what if he switched back to his original style? His films are still ostensibly comedies, Vice less so, but The Big Short and Don't Look Up are still comedies, they're satires. But him dropping his current biographical or political framing devices, I think it'd be seen as him retreating. Plus, that sort of era of 2000s comedies just don't really exist anymore, or at least not in the same way that they used to. So what if he changed into something completely different again? Well, he's currently serving as a producer on Tommy Wakola's upcoming film Shivers, Wakola being the director of my favourite Christmas film, Violent Night. Oh, Eddie's big fucking dumb cunt hot take alert. I think Violent Night is like one of my favourite movies I've ever seen. It fucking rules.
Okay, how does he know about my bike?
It's a lucky guess, like, hey, do you like big tits?
With Wakola's filmography in mind, is it Wakola or Vakola? I'm gonna look that up. Unlock pronunciation by watching short ad. Research metal shelters now. Fuck yeah. That's an advert from Yahoo. Fuck, this is a Yahoo advert that just says research metal shelters, and you click it and it just takes you to a Yahoo search for metal canopy shelters. What the fuck? I've never looked at anything that would indicate I have any fucking interest in this whatsoever. 2,500 for fucking this. Order today. Okay, I think it's Vakola. I went to like 6 websites and eventually landed on that. The fuck was I saying? But yeah, with Vakola's background and filmography, it's interesting to think that Adam McKay might be eyeing to switch up and do some kind of horror thriller with his next directorial project. But in actuality, he's apparently working on another movie that's about the climate crisis called Greenhouse, which he says is probably the greatest thing he's ever written, but he's struggling to get it made. And this comes after the previous project he was working on, High Average Build, got cancelled by Netflix before it could get off the ground, possibly indicating that Don't Look Up massively underperformed for them. The future of the great man has never been more uncertain. Rest in peace, Adam McKay.
Julian and I have never actually had a conversation because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak French, so we just have never had a proper... What did he say?
Tame Impala is one of, if not just straight up my favourite artist of all time. All big white boy alert, white boy alert, white boy over here, hello. Hitting the scene in 2008, his debut self-titled EP has a real crunchy guitar-driven sound to it that harkens back to albums like Revolver by the Beatles or Disraeli Gears by Cream. There's some real colourful, like mid-60s psychedelic fuzziness going on. It fucking rules. These sounds continued in a much more sort of refined state on the project's full-length debut album, Inner Speaker, but with a much more spaced out and cosmic feel, aided by the incredible mixing work of longtime Flaming Lips collaborator Dave Fridman. This album took the world of indie rock by storm in 2010, being heralded as a record that feels like a nostalgic pastiche of the mid-60s psychedelic movement, while also being refreshingly original, with Zach Kelly from Pitchfork saying in his review that the album is able to tinker with and update familiar textures and moods without blurring the lines too much or just plain overdoing it, and I think that is a perfect way of putting it. This theme would continue onto Kevin Parker's next 2 projects, both the second Tame Impala album, Lonerism, and Melody's Echo Chamber's self-titled debut record, which Kevin Parker produced, with both records coming out in 2012. Now, Melody Prochet needs a lot of the fucking credit here, because a lot of people call her album Melody's Echo Chamber kind of Lonerism too. It's considered this kind of a holy grail for Tame Impala fans who love this early and especially the Lonerism era sound and want more of that. But I think a lot of this Lonerism era sound came from Melody. This was a collaboration between the two of them in every sense of the word, but I do just really want to highlight how important melody is to this sound, because she herself has said that she feels like she got overshadowed on her own album, with a lot of the press just talking about how amazing Kevin Parker is. So I just wanted to point that out. Melody Prochet, love you, you're great. But in both these projects, Parker experiments more and more with his established sound, while both still identifiably familiar psych rock records, relying heavily on saturated drums and fuzzed out guitar riffs. But these records begin to experiment with sounds of electronic and pop music, with candy floss synths being added to Tame's audio palette. Inner Speaker is an absolutely remarkable album, but Lonerism is a fucking masterpiece, and that's a feat that is doubled by the equally incredible, if not more so, Melody's Echo Chamber album. Truly, if you're a Tame Impala fan and you haven't heard any of Melody's Echo Chamber, go listen to the self-titled, then go listen to Bon Voyage. They fucking rule. While this sound in retrospect feels less like a drastic change and more just the next logical step for Kevin Parker, he had real anxieties about what he was going for here, saying in a 2022 Instagram post reflecting on the 10-year anniversary of Lonerism, "The day came to release it and it all just came crashing down, and I thought the album sucked and couldn't even imagine people enjoying it. As it turns out, I was wrong." Lonerism was beloved on release, elevating Kevin Parker to messiah status in the indie alternative psychedelic zeitgeist, but nothing prepared the world for what was next. Tame Impala released the very, very famous album Currents in 2015, and it marked a huge change for the project. The 60s and 70s psych rock nostalgia had been replaced by that of 1980s synth pop, where luscious soundscapes comprised of warm synth pads replaced the prevalence of the phased and crunched guitars of the past albums. Guitars are still present on Currents, but they take a real backseat. The drums sound a lot drier and flatter in a good way, and when paired with catchy bass lines on songs like 'Cause I'm a Man or New Person, Same Old Mistakes, rhythm becomes the main focus, much more so than it ever was before.
Feel like a brand new person.
This almost feels like an entirely new genre of music in a way, and the ripple effects of it were felt all across pop music. While working on Currents, Kevin Parker had contributed 3 songs to Mark Ronson's album Uptown Special. You know, the album with fucking Uptown Funk on it. In fact, despite him not actually working on it, Mark Ronson credits Kevin Parker as the inspiration for the song Uptown Funk. But over the couple of years following Currents' release, Kevin Parker would go on to work with household names like Lady Gaga, Travis Scott, Ye, and Rihanna's 2016 album Anti actually featured a cover of New Person, Same Old Mistakes. Currents was an absolute sensation, and it took the world by storm, especially when the song The Less I Know The Better took off in the following years. Not only that, but the album was beloved by new and old fans alike. Yeah, there were some fans who dragged their feet at the change in style, but for the most part the reaction to the album was like unanimous acclaim. Then 5 years later he followed that shit up with The Slow Rush. I feel like history's been kind of rewritten a bit, because while The Slow Rush is very beloved now, I was there when it came out, and the reception to it was kind of frosty, much more mixed than I'd been aware of with any of his previous albums. I mean, fans who'd gotten on board with Tame Impala in the years since Currents seemed to really enjoy the record, but older fans who'd gotten on board sort of Lonerism time and prior sort of feel like the transition from psych rock to psych pop had just pushed a little too far for their taste. For a lot of people, the album sounded almost too refined, and that too refined sentiment was never more prevalent than on the song Borderline. The song had been released a year prior as a single and had a much more currency tone to it before being completely reworked into the version that made it onto The Slow Rush. This reworked version was re-recorded and had a bit more of like a pop punch to it and much less of a sort of dynamic range. The The guitars that the project was initially known for were even more reduced on this album than they were on Currents, being relegated to background elements on most tracks, if they were even there at all. There are still big fuzzed out guitar moments on tracks like One More Hour and the B-side No Choice, and the acoustic guitar in Tomorrow's Dust is a welcome change of pace. And the loud, bombastic, distorted, saturated drums on It Might Be Time are a clear homage to the inspiration that the Flaming Lips had on the early days of the act.
You can see at which point I went to Japan and saw Flaming Lips live, and then went back and recorded Lonerism, and the drums sound like that. Like you can hear.
And broadly speaking, the album was still received very, very warmly by general audiences and most fans. Standout tracks like One More Year, Breathe Deeper, and One More Hour became mainstays in any fan's rotation, and the album was the highest charting any Tame Impala album had been on release at that point. Then, the project of Tame Impala, though it should be mentioned not Kevin Parker himself, lay dormant for 5 years, and fan expectation grew and grew and grew. What was the next album gonna be? Would he keep pushing in this kind of pop direction, especially after producing Dua Lipa's album and writing a song for the fucking Minions soundtrack? Would he do what I saw a lot of people claiming would be the most unexpected option and revert back to make Lonerism 2? Or would he do something else entirely? The answer's pretty much the third one. On June 6th, 2025, Kevin Parker played an unannounced, unpromoted DJ set at the Primavera Sound Festival in Barcelona. I wonder why he went to the Barcelona. Why did he go to the Barcelona? Couldn't he have gone with anybody else? He went to the Barcelona, huh? He went to the Barcelona, huh? Why couldn't he go with anybody else? Why couldn't he go? I got all day, mate. Why couldn't he go? Why did he go to the Barcelona, huh? Why did he go to the Barcelona? What the fuck did you just say? It's the first joke I've made in this video in so long, and it sucks. This video's... I'm fucking bored. I feel like I'm having a panic attack. Also, if you do like Tame Impala, by the way, you can't really see this up here, but this is my EP. I'm not going to talk about it for too long because I know this video is not about that, but I'm really, really proud of it. I worked really hard on it. I think it's really good. So if you're watching this video and you're enjoying it and you want to see more of what I make, I don't have a huge amount of content on this channel yet, but that is something you can go and listen to on Apple Music, Spotify, all those places. Or if you're so inclined, if you listen to it there and you like it, you can buy yourself a fucking vinyl. I'll leave links to all of it in the description. There's no pressure or whatever. I don't know who I'm talking to here. You listen to it or don't. There's not much more I can do other than that. But at this festival, at this DJ set, he said, "Do you guys want to hear a new song? Do you guys want to hear a new Tame Impala song?" And played the recording of the album's debut single. Before he'd released it, he played End of Summer. And holy shit, things went fucking crazy online. It's like an electronic dance house techno song. What the fuck? Oh, who could have seen this coming? Me. I did, fuckheads. I saw this clip of him playing this song at this DJ set. It was just a shitty iPhone recording, but that appeared online. And I listened to the first 3 seconds of it, and all I heard was that thumping drum beat, that unts, 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 and I turned it off immediately and went, fuck yeah, that's all I needed to hear. This is exactly what I want from the new Tame Impala. I fucking was so sold immediately. People online, however, did not share the same response. A lot of people on the Tame Impala subreddit were, yes, I'm in the fucking Tame Impala subreddit, make your fucking jokes, but a lot of people on that subreddit were in like heavy denial. People were like, oh, this isn't the actual song, this is just like a club remix of it that he's playing in the actual song. It's gonna be different, there's gonna be like your usual Tame Impala thing, it's not gonna be this sort of electronic house track. Fuck you, it's the actual song and it fucking rules. And then the full album dropped back in October, and the response to it has just been so weird. Everybody who I've spoken to about it in real life has either liked it or loved it, including my dad, especially my dad. He really fucking likes this album. But so much of the Discord around it, especially on that fucking toxic hellhole of a Reddit, is so like, it's either people upset or like angry at Kevin Parker, like genuinely insulted by it. People feel like he has abandoned them. There's a lot of people saying the album is like objectively bad, which is just like fucking not true. Like, you're allowed to subjectively not like something, but it's not objectively bad. Like, it's just not. It's well recorded, it's well mixed, it's well written. I mean, you can dislike the writing, but like, the notes are all in the right key. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, objectively bad would sound like this. And that is a fucking far cry from...
Don't believe in magic, all the harder try.
It's also like not even strictly a techno album. Like, those elements are there, especially on tracks like End of Summer and Ethereal Connection, but I don't know, songs like Dracula and Obsolete could lift right off of the Slow Rush or even Currents and they wouldn't feel out of place. In fact, they'd be some of the best songs on those fucking albums. Like, if you like this and you like this, but you don't like this, then you're a fucking hypocrite who's just looking for something to dislike and hate because it makes you cool. And you can fucking drink my piss, you little piss-drinking fucking piss boy. But anyway, to go back to the point of this video before I turned it into a fucking Tame Impala biography, I think this is a classic and perhaps perfect example of the exact thing I was talking about up at the top of the page. Tame Impala is an artist who had a very, very, very famous change in direction, a very famous evolution, a very famous shifting away from his previous style. And where Adam McKay falls into the first school of thought where he gets stale, Tame Impala has fit perfectly into that second one. So yes, he's changing, but too much hype was built up around what the next mind-blowing, shocking, revolutionary change was going to be, and that's what can happen when an artist changes. Expectation takes its toll to the point where when the new fucking album or film or book or painting comes out from an artist, that people have such high hopes for it and changes so much and blows people's mind, and when that thing comes out and like the face of God himself doesn't appear before the viewer and fucking whisper the secrets of the universe to them, the project's considered a letdown because expectations were just too high. So you can either change and it blows people's mind and they love it, and then stay there, and then people criticize you for going stale, or you can change, blow people's minds, they love it, then try and change again, but because people were expecting a change, that change isn't gonna blow their minds again, so they're not gonna love it again. So you can't do it again, you get fucking trapped. It's a curse, and I've proved that it makes sense, and that this is a thing that I should have talked about. Yeah, that feels like a pretty good place to leave it. I feel like that wraps it up nicely, sort of sold my thesis. Oh wait, fuck, there's more! I've been recording for like an hour and a half, what the fuck?
And now there's this huge space crisis and no one's telling us about it.
We're running out of space already? It's impossible. This building is enormous.
Okay, stick with me on this one. It may not seem like it fits in this video, but it does, because A, it is art. I don't care if you don't like them, you think they're lowbrow, you're like Scorsese and you think they're roller coasters, that's fine, I'll let you have that. In a lot of ways, I do kind of agree, but it is art, and a pretty fucking great artistic achievement and accomplishment at that. A large span of interconnected pieces of individual art that link together slowly over the course of 10 years to culminate in Avengers Endgame is one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time. It's genuinely really impressive. It's lightning in a bottle, it's a fucking miracle that it happened, and a lot of the films are really, really genuinely good. Yes, they've lost their footing now. I don't know if they're going to be able to turn it around for like Doomsday and shit. That's a topic for a whole other video. But anyway, the point being, it is a form of art. And B, it hasn't changed at all. Okay, it has changed in the fact that they've gotten worse. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about a change of the MCU, a change within the MCU. I'm talking about the change that MCU made to the art form of cinema. In the early 2010s, following the success of the Avengers, every studio that had a property or two lying around that it could feasibly make, or even unfeasibly make a cinematic universe with, where, yep, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do it whether you like it or not, because it made a lot of money for Disney, and blockbuster filmmaking as a whole changed. Warner Bros. Especially are fucking fiends for it, with both DC and Harry Potter having cooked, botched attempts at making this shared universe, but they also kind of succeeded at it with the Godzilla Kong Monsterverse thing. I've not seen any of them, I don't know if it's good or whatever, but they've done well. Universal, bless them, gave it a real go with the Dark Universe. Disney are trying to catch that lightning in a bottle twice with giving Star Wars more of an expanded universe. Things. Spun. Do you remember Spun? Spun happened. Transformers are apparently also G.I. Joe now. I don't really know what's going on there. Fucking Doctor Who is even trying and immediately failing to do it. The point being, the movie industry changed, and what's the first school of thought? Come on, we've been over this, you should have been taking notes. Whenever something changes, if it doesn't change again, it gets stale. People get sick of it. And people already are. I'm sorry to upset all the Dark Universe fans out there, but all of those attempts at a shared universe that I mentioned, they all fucking suck. But if we've learned anything from our pattern here today, like the Tame Impala thing, when it changes, when the studios give up on shared universes and try and find the next great thing, it won't live up to expectations and people will be disappointed. Wait a second. What's that? It's already fucking happened? Because we tried to level up from the cinematic universe and switch it with the new big thing, the multiverse, and what's that? People don't like it. The movies are bombing. If only I'd made this video sooner. I could have warned them. And look, do I think this means that people are just gonna fucking turn on movies generally, get sick of the industry? I mean, maybe. When was the last time you went and watched a fucking play? But more realistically, I think we're looking at the nirvanic possibility that franchise films die out for a while. Here's a little history lesson for you. In the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, movies were all about the studio, baby. You would go and see the new Warner movie or the new RKO movie. These studios were the known names. It wasn't franchises, it wasn't actors, it was these studios. They were recognizable, they were dependable, they were reputable. But in the late 50s through to the 60s, those days equivalent of blockbuster movies like The Conqueror or Dr. Dolittle, that 15 years prior would have been bankable home runs, they started to bomb. People got sick of westerns and musicals, which were the dominant forms of cinema at the time. Things got stale from not changing, and people got sick of them. I'm a fucking genius. So what happened? Did people stop going to the movies? No. The start of what was dubbed New Hollywood was born. People stopped going to see the new RKO movie, the new Warner movie, and instead would go to a movie based on who was in it, who directed it, hell, what the fucking poster looked like. And most importantly, people showed up for movies that rebelled against the studio formula. Boom, here's Bonnie and Clyde, a movie with sex and violence which was fucking shocking for the day, and acted as a call to arms for the American New Wave movement. Boom, here's The Graduate, a movie that said tell your mum and dad to get fucked while your mum and dad's friend tries to fuck you. Boom, here's The Godfather. Boom, here's Taxi Driver. Boom, here's Midnight Cowboy. It's X-rated and it's gonna win Best Picture at the Oscars. We got a movie about hippies doing drugs. We got a movie about the devil and pregnancy. We got a western, but this time it's new and fresh with violence and blood. You wanna watch someone get sexually assaulted? We got it. We got it all, baby. It's the new Wild West. What do you want from us? We'll give it to you. But importantly, this wasn't just another change. Nothing changed. What it was a form of the medium dying out completely. Not changing, dying out, and getting replaced by something new, fresh, and original that people wanted to see. And we're already starting to see that happen again today. Remember when I said movies like The Conqueror and Dr. Dolittle that 10-15 years ago would have been absolute home runs started to bomb at the box office? Now replace The Conqueror with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Dr. Dolittle with like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or Thunderbolts, which was a good movie but didn't do well compared to its budget. But put those movies in that sentence and you get the exact same result. Franchise films are already dying out and getting replaced with films from visionary directors that are rebelling against the studio format. Look at Nope. Look at Everything Everywhere All at Once. look at Oppenheimer. With the exception of Oppenheimer, none of these films made anywhere near the amount of money that like the Marvel movies did in their prime, but they're not supposed to, and comparative to their budget, all of them made money. Like, they all did well for the size of movies they are, and they're also occupying a space that just didn't exist for them 10 years ago, and I really think we're about to see this kind of film take center stage. I've been thinking a lot about that One Battle After Another video I made back in October, and how pessimistically I ended it, with this real sour note of thinking like maybe this is the last of this kind of film we see from a prestigious director with a song to sing in his heart, getting the opportunity to make a film on this scale and like this with such a wide release. It's such a great film, and I was really worried that films of this kind are about to die out, but I think I was wrong. I mean, the fact that this film, a Paul Thomas Anderson film in 2025, made 200 million. That's good. Like, that is a win. I'm not fucking Warner Brothers. I don't care that it didn't make its budget back. It did well. It did well for the film that it is, and I'm happy with it, and I shouldn't have been so pessimistic, and I do think I regret that video. I don't think this is the end of films like One Battle After Another, or Nope, or Oppenheimer, or Everything Everywhere, or the countless other films in that ilk that have come out over the past few years. I think this is just the beginning. So please, do yourself a favor and engage with some art. Listen to that album you've been hearing buzz about. Hell, if you're looking for a recommendation, give Unit by Regurgitator a listen. Fuck, I really think it still holds up. Watch that film you've been meaning to get around to for ages. I've had Miracle Mile on my watch list for like 6 years, and I watched it for the first time like a month ago, and it blew my mind. It's incredible, and I wish I would have watched it sooner. Go read a book, any book. Books are like such a singular vision and take so long and so much dedication to make that like most of them are pretty good. Fuck it, go to an art gallery, go to a museum, go like engage with a local artist, go see like a small band's show at the pub round the corner. Do whatever, just engage with something, man. This world is full of people trying to express their feelings, and you are able to engage with something they've made and be swept up by the emotions of a stranger. You can feel their joy, their pain, their anger, their love, their longing, their excitement, and if you check something out and you don't like it, okay, it's easy to think that was wasted time, but it wasn't. You just learn a little bit more about yourself and your taste and what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. You had an experience. Art is genuinely fucking amazing. It's so beautiful that it exists, and I truly believe it is the like defining thing that makes us human, and against all odds, it's not going anywhere.
Happy days are here